Yo, is this thing on? What's up everybody, it's your boy J-Rod and welcome to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be talking about how to learn a language while abroad. Now one of the questions that I put on my Instagram the other day was asking for video suggestions, and one of the questions that someone asked was, how do you feel confident in learning a language abroad in that whole process? And you know, what is it like learning a language abroad? So because of that, in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my top 4 tips, what I feel are most important when learning a language abroad, alright? But before I start this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Alright, let's go. Alright, first tip, baby. So if you're trying to learn a language abroad, you have to have the desire to want to learn a language abroad. I know that some people tend to think that just going abroad, everything is just going to magically come together and you're just going to be able to speak the language. But no, you still have to have the drive to want to learn. The same drive that you have in the States, you still have to have that same mentality when you're going abroad. The only difference is you're just put in an environment where it's easily accessible, but you still have to actually put in the work to want to learn the language. And that is why you have people who've been abroad for years and they still can't speak the language. Matter of fact, I know people in the Dominican Republic who've been there for decades and they still can't speak Spanish. And my mind is kind of blown. It's like, bro, how have you been abroad for this long and you still can't speak the language? But that's because they don't have the desire or the passion to want to learn. So in order for you to learn a language abroad, you have to have that passion to actually want to learn. Tip number 2. You have to stop feeling afraid of looking stupid, okay? I'm talking to you behind the camera. If you are afraid to travel and learn another language because you're afraid of looking dumb or looking stupid, then I hate to break it to you because you're gonna look stupid. Every traveler who's been abroad or is learning another language abroad at some point has looked stupid. Yes, you're gonna look stupid. It's okay. Stop being afraid of looking dumb. There are gonna be moments where you're not gonna know what's going on. You're not gonna be able to understand what's going on. That is perfectly okay, bro. This is the one time in your life where you can be completely oblivious to what's going on in your surroundings and you can get a pass for it. Believe it or not, you can look stupid and look dumb and people will actually let you get away with it. For example, when I first got to the Dominican Republic and I didn't know how to count the money, I was talking to the lady at the register and she was like, how do you not know how to count the money? You know, little situations like that. And then when I explained to her I was a foreigner, she was like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry, you know, and everything was cool, you know, like it might have been embarrassing for that split second, but it's just like, you're a foreigner, so it's expected for you not to know things. And to be honest, I kind of like that, okay? Bro, I love the fact that I can make a mistake with my grammar or I can do something that makes me look stupid and my only excuse is because I'm a foreigner. Bro, use that to your advantage, man, especially if you're trying to flirt or do something like that. Okay, girls, they actually like that. You can be talking to somebody and just like acting oblivious or acting dumb, or even if you're trying to pronounce something and you do it incorrectly, you know, girls, they like that. They're like, oh, listen to his accent, or that's cute the way how he says that. They get attracted to it. Or even when I'm out with people who I just met, sometimes I use it to my advantage and, you know, I pretend like I don't know something and I just do that just to see if somebody gonna try to play me or whatever, or try to get one over on me. So, you know, that's why I say, like, looking dumb and looking stupid, like, make that a positive, man, because you can actually kind of have a lot of fun doing that. But if people laugh, who cares, bro? You're a foreigner. That's all you have to tell them. Be like, I'm not from here. How many languages do you speak, bro? Alright, so yeah. Alright, number 3, only become friends with people who do not speak English. Alright, now this all goes back to what I was saying earlier, how you have some expats who've been there for years and they still can't speak the language. Well, it's because they only surround themselves with other expats, or they just stay to themselves and they're not actually using the language. So it is important that you communicate with people who only speak in that target language that you're learning. It's going to force you to use that language. This actually happened to me a lot when I was in the States. In my earlier days of learning Spanish, before I was fluent, I would try to like talk to people who knew Spanish and then they'll just automatically jump to English because they felt like my Spanish wasn't good enough, or B is because they felt because they were in America, they just wanted to speak English. And you do have some Latinos like that. When you do try to speak Spanish to them, they always switch it back to English and it gets very frustrating. And then when you try to explain to them that, yo, I'm just trying to practice or whatever, sometimes they just don't want to do it. So that's why I feel like you kind of have an advantage abroad, because abroad you're more likely to find a monolingual speaker in that target language versus a bilingual speaker in America. So when you're abroad, it's best to be around with people who only speak that language, because that way they can't jump to English when they feel like you don't know something. My best friend from the Dominican Republic, for example, he speaks English and Spanish, and I remember sometimes when I'd be with him, he would always like speak English to me and we'll be kind of going back and forth trying to, like, you know, oh, I want to speak Spanish, and he'll be like, oh, I want to speak English, and you'll just be kind of playing tug of war to meet that middle ground, and it could be a little bit frustrating. Now, when I was living with my other friend in the DR, he only spoke Spanish, so we had no choice but to speak Spanish. And so I was actually living in his house, and that's all we spoke every single day. So it wasn't none of that, oh, let's jump to English. It was like, you have to speak Spanish. And that actually made my Spanish become 20 billion times better. The point that I'm trying to make is become friends with people who only speak the target language that you're speaking. Don't become friends with people who speak English. All right, last tip, number 4. I'm about to wrap this up real quick. I'm gonna make this one real easy. So number 4, documentation and writing things down. So I'm not saying that you need to walk around the city with a pen and paper and a notepad. I'm not saying that, but you do have a cell phone, okay? So when you hear certain phrases over and over again, you do need to write that down in your cell phone and take note of it. I made mention to this in my video about how to learn language from watching TV, where I said like I will always hear common phrases over and over again. Well, it's the same way when you're living abroad. When you hear certain phrases over and over again, those are the type of phrases that you want to put down in your phone. So for example, when I was in the Dominican Republic, I didn't know certain words like, you know, no le pare or dame la luz. Like, you know, I didn't know what that meant, but I had to write that down on my phone. And then when I got home, I looked it up, and then, or I just asked somebody who I was with. But the second step to that is you definitely need to write it down. So this is when you will need a pen and paper when you get home. You don't got to do this every day, but like every couple of days, look at your list and write these words out loud and read it, because like I told you, when you're trying to remember something from a phone screen, your brain doesn't actually process it as words. It sees it as an image. So that is why it's harder for you to retain it versus when you're writing it on paper. So yeah, it's good to take notes on your phone, but just make sure at some point you write it out on a piece of paper at least like, you know, 10 times, and just say it out loud to yourself, so that way your brain can retain the information. And only do this every few days. You don't got to do this every day. All right, guys, those are my 4 tips. Like I said, have the intentions of wanting to learn the language. Don't feel afraid of looking dumb. Only become friends with people who don't speak English. And of course, documentation, writing those notes down. All of those 4 things are going to help you tremendously when trying to learn another language abroad. But most importantly, what I want y'all to take away from this video is that you have the tools, man. It's just all about how you use it. So don't think just because you're over there, everything is just going to happen in one day. No, you actually have to physically put in the work to learn the language. But guys, I hope that this video really helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. All right, peace.